Hi everyone, welcome to Great Glen Yoga. My name's Rachel and today I'm going to take you through a really lovely yin yoga practice that's going to be targeting our legs. So we're going to be working on the connective tissue right throughout the whole leg. We're going to do a bit of work that focuses in on the hamstrings, a little bit along the outer thigh and also the inner thigh as well. So if those are particular areas that you're really wanting to focus on at the moment, this is the practice for you. If you've been doing lots of activity where the legs have been getting quite a lot of strain, this should be really lovely and relaxing and soothing for you. So as ever, if you've got props available, please have them around. May not need them for many of the poses. It's really going to be an option for you to decide whether you want to use them or not. But certainly if you've got blocks, bolsters, pillows, blankets, anything around, have them available so that you can grab them if you decide you want to use them. So we're going to start in a butterfly fold in this first pose. So we're just going to come down into a seated position, take the knees out in front of us, and we're just going to let the knees drop to the mat. A little bit of opportunity to just focus on where you want the feet to be. So we're bringing the soles of the feet to touch in this butterfly shape. And you can really, again, kind of play around with this one and see where in your legs might you need this the most. So if you bring the legs quite close in, bring the feet quite close in to your center, you'll probably find that this works a little bit more into the inner part of the leg, inner thigh area. And if you take them out a little further from you, you'll start to feel that lovely stretch on the outer side as well. So really up to you where you want to go. If you kind of go quite kind of middle-ish, you should get a little bit of both of the intensity throughout both of those sides of the legs. So I think I'm going to settle myself here. And then when you've got your position that works for you, we're just going to start to gently drape ourselves forward, not trying to kind of pull with the feet and try and get any kind of extra leverage. We're literally just passively leaning across over the feet. And as it's yin, you can have that slightly rounded back. You can just bend the head. We're not looking for a flat back. We don't need kind of anything to be sort of straight and active. It can all just be quite passive and relaxed. Forearms can come down to the floor, palms facing the ceiling, or wherever you get to. You might not come quite as far down as this. You might be just laying the hands, bowing the head here. Entirely up to you what your range of motion is like, what your anatomy is like, and just found a place that feels good for you. And you'll start to feel that sensation around the outer thighs, a little bit through the inner thighs as well. And just focusing on the breath. In yin yoga, having that focus on our breath just means that we can meet that sensation. We can deal with whatever the body is feeling and just melt into it with the help of the breath. And remember to work with your own body. We're in these poses for a few minutes, so if you feel that any pose becomes a little too much and sensation is moving into discomfort, then obviously, yeah, no problem at all to come out of the pose a little bit earlier. This practice is for you, so pick what works the best for you in your situation. Last couple of breaths. And just gently start to raise the head. Hands can come down to the mat just to help ease you back up to your seated position. So I'm going to turn towards the longer end of my mat now, and we're going to come into a head to knee pose. So I'm going to open my right leg out to the side and bring the left foot in towards the inner thigh of the right leg. And just again, take a second or so just to settle yourself into this shape. Make sure that all feels comfortable, and probably as soon as you take the right leg out, you'll start to feel maybe a little pull in the hamstring, which is exactly what we want to be feeling here. And then once the shape is as we want it to be, you're going to turn your body to face over towards that right leg. And then whenever you're ready, start to drape over the leg itself. And again, remember, passive fold. We're not trying to pull with the foot to take ourselves any deeper. It's just wherever we get to. And just relax into it. Hands can come to the floor, palms facing up. Hands might also feel nice just resting on the top of the shin. That can maybe feel a bit much for some. If it feels as though there's a bit of extra weight on the leg, but entirely up to whatever you want from this particular posture. And just feel that wonderful sensation through the right hamstring. Last couple of breaths. And just start to ease out of your fold, coming back up to a seated position. And just before we take this over to the next side, we're just going to do a very gentle twist here. So we're just going to take the right hand over to the left knee, take the left hand behind us, and just gently twist over to the left. So keeping the torso nice and long, and just looking over that left shoulder. And back to center, and we'll switch the legs around. So this time we're going to take the left leg out to the side, bring the right leg in to the left inner thigh. And again, just take a second just to kind of get yourself where you want to be. Always feel as though the first few seconds is just about kind of, getting it to feel right for you, and feeling comfortable before we move into the posture itself. And again, you'll just start to feel that stretch just on the left hamstring. And when you feel as though you're in a nice position, you just start to turn the torso over to the left, and then we can drape ourselves over the leg. And each side may feel quite different from each other. You might find that you've got much more space on one side, and maybe a bit less on the other. So just go with it, see how it feels, and remember, the longer we're here, the more you'll kind of ease your way further into the pose. And again, hands can come facing up to the ceiling, or they might drape over the leg, whatever works best. And last couple of breaths on this side. And ease your way back to center. And again, we'll just counter that with a little twist to the right. So we'll take our left hand to the right knee, right hand goes behind us, and a twist to the right. Just looking over the right shoulder, staying nice and upright. And back to center. So we're going to come into frog pose next, and this might be one of the poses where you do want to use one of your props. It can be quite an intense pose, so having that little bit of extra support can be really, really helpful. So there's a couple of different things that you could do to help. But basically we'll come into the leg positions first of all. So you're almost coming into a position a little bit like as if we were coming into a wide-legged child's pose. So bringing the knees wide and the toes currently are together. And then we start to move forward, and then the feet can come out and turn outwards rather than inwards as if we were in a child's pose. I'm just going to move slightly further back there. So knees are nice and wide, ankle is in line with the knee on each side, and the feet are turned outwards into your froggy pose. And then there's a few different things that you can do. You can stay upright like this. That's absolutely fine. This might be as intense as you want this pose to be. And being up on the palms can be quite a nice way of introducing yourself to this pose. Or you can come down onto the forearms. That might feel really nice. You might want to maybe pop a bolster just under the torso here. Or if you want to, you can just pop your forehead against your palms and rest all the way down. Entirely up to you, again, whatever feels best for you. And don't push this one because it can be quite intense on the inner thighs. You've got to kind of just protect the knees as well. Make sure that they've not got too much pressure on them. So pick the version that works best for you. And as ever, if it feels a bit much, you can always come out a little earlier. The last couple of breaths here. And then I like to come up just by easing up to the palms of the hands again. And then you can take each foot in turn back so the toes touch, and just take the hips back to the feet. We'll just come into a kneeling position just for a second here, just to kind of take a moment and process the work that we've done so far. And our next couple of poses are going to be reclined. So we're going to come into half saddle for our next pose. So we're going to sit with the legs out long in front of us to begin with. And then we're going to begin with the right leg here. So I'm going to take that, and you can kind of just lean slightly on the left leg just to be able to bring the right foot and the right shin alongside you, alongside your hip. So your right foot should be just sitting right next to the right hip there, and your toes are, your base of sole of your foot is facing up towards the ceiling. And then there's a couple of different things again you can do here. You might feel absolutely fine just sitting upright like this. And I think particularly if you've got any kind of niggles with your knee, any issues there, then I probably would take it this far and no further. Even then that might be a little much. So just, judge that and see how that feels. But yeah, certainly if there's any ongoing knee issues, this is probably as far as you would need to go. You can then maybe come a little further down onto the hands, onto the forearms, and then for some of us we might want to go all the way back down, entirely up to you. Similarly, you could have your bolster just popped under your back and rest back over that, entirely up to you. Lots of different variations we can do. So I think I'll come down without the bolster today. So I'm just going to pick up my hips and tilt the tailbone under slightly, just to make it easier to come down, and then come all the way down onto the back. The hands can come to the belly or just out to the side. And just feel the effects of that on the front of the right thigh, a little bit into the knee, a little bit through the hamstring as well. And take any hair that's ended up in your mouth, out of your mouth as well. Whatever you need to do to be comfortable. Last couple of breaths. And then to come up from your back, come up onto the forearms first, and then you can just ease up using the palms to help you come upright again. And just lean over to the left to swing the right leg out in front of you. And let's just Rest back on the hands for a second. Just get that blood flowing back into the right leg. Just give them a little shake, particularly the right one, before we move over to the other side. And as before, we'll just rest on the other side to bring the left leg behind us. So we're going to have the left foot sitting right beside the left hip, left shin alongside the left thigh, and the sole of the foot pointing to the ceiling. And again, you know, similarly to a lot of poses, might feel quite different on this side compared to the other, so just judge it as you need to. If you didn't want a prop on one side but you feel you need it on this one, you know, just go with whatever the body feels. And then again, I'm just going to lift up slightly, tuck the tailbone under, and start to ease myself down. And again, hands can just flop to the side. And you will feel differences on each side. I certainly notice on my left side, I feel just a bit more sensation across the top of the hip bone than I did in my right. Maybe a little bit less on the hamstring here. So, you know, it's all good. It's just different. And you're getting what your body needs in each case. Last couple of breaths here. And again, we'll just come up onto the forearms initially, and then use that to bring the palms to the floor. Lean over to one side and bring your left leg out in front of you. Again, just spend a little bit of time here, just relax back onto the palms, just giving the legs a little shake before we come into our final posture. So we're going to be down on our backs again. So just ease your way down and then take the feet so that they're about hip width distance apart, feet to the floor. Got our nice slopes heading towards the ceiling there. And then we're going to drop both knees over to the right, almost as if we were doing a kind of slower windshield wiper motion. So make sure you've got that space. We'll drop them over to the right. And then what we're going to do here is just take the right foot and lay it gently over the left knee. And here I like to just take both arms out to the side, eyes up to the ceiling. And you should just feel a really nice sensation just coming from the lower left side of your back, down the IT band, through the thigh, a little bit into the quads and hamstring, and then down into the right knee. Just a really nice variation on a twist. Just move your right foot back slightly to release the left knee and bring both soles of the feet back to the floor, bringing the knees up to point towards the ceiling again. We'll just take a second here before moving to the other side, just feeling the effects of that stretch. And then we'll do exactly the same on the other side. So make sure that the legs are still about hip width distance apart, or about the width of your mat-ish. And then you can take them over to the left. So both knees over to the left-hand side, and then we're taking the left foot this time and just popping it on top of the right knee. Arms out into a T shape again, and eyes facing the ceiling. You should just again start to feel that lovely stretch just coming through from the right side of the back down the right side of the lower body. And the only thing that can be particularly tricky about this pose is if you've got quite shiny leggings on, your foot can kind of want to slide off. So just be aware of that. You might need to readjust. Nothing about this is about perfection at all. It's all about just making it work for you in the best way that you can. Keeping it safe and making it work. And again, kind of as we've said throughout this practice, different sides are going to feel quite different. You may have noticed that throughout this practice that each time we've worked into one leg separately to the other, you'll have noticed those little differences. And it's just all about kind of the different pressures we put on our legs at different points in the day, which leg we favour, how we sit, how we stand, how we walk, all of those things. And it's maybe not until we work on them in this kind of stillness that we really see that difference. We can release the right knee by just moving the left foot off, taking both knees back up to face the ceiling. Arms can come back down by our sides. And we'll come now into Shavasana. So get as comfortable and cozy as you'd like. If you'd like a pillow for your head or neck, if you'd like a blanket, anything like that, just grab what you need to be comfortable. And then we're just going to gently release the feet, the legs out, and let them just rest. Feet can flop to the sides, palms facing up. And just let everything go. Enjoy the feeling of the poses that we've done for our lower body today. Everything should feel really good, really relaxed, really soft. And thank you so much for joining me today for this yin yoga practice focusing on the legs. I really hope that you've got out of it what you hoped for. And I hope to see you again really soon back here on the mat. Thank you.